So I broke a steering hydraulic line on the tractor. It goes right to the steering rack right here. It's almost severed in half. It's a pretty good crack right there. And so I got the one end off that connects right there to the other side. And then the other connection is behind this steel plate right in here. And it's almost impossible to get to. This is the line. This green painted line in the back here that controls that, and there is no disconnect. It is a solid steel line that goes to the other side of the motor. It's the one on the inside there, comes down here behind the fuel filter, the water separator, and then comes up back here. From underneath you really can't see it that much better, so I think that I'm going to have to remove the fuel separator or the water separator and get at it from this angle. Looks like there's a spacer. And that line's right here. Might be able to get to it now. Alright, so here's what I came up with. Fuel separator's out of the way. I've got a green ratchet strap there, which is pulling on that right there. And now I can reach the fitting, which needs to be undone right there. So kind of a pain, but hopefully I'll be able to get it out now. And I believe it's 21 millimeters. So this is how ridiculous this John Deere is to work on. That's what I had to disconnect. This is the short little hydraulic hose that was connected to it. I actually sawzalled out that one tab. Right there, you can see half the hole. That was the only way I could get enough room to get a wrench in there. Basically, without taking the whole motor or powder to the radiator off or all that kind of stuff to get to that hose. And in order to hold that up, because that was about 4 inches lower, maybe 5 inches lower, it's not accessible where it normally sits. So I hooked up a ratchet strap with a couple 2x4s to hold that up high enough to where I could get a wrench on it. I didn't record any of that because I wasn't sure whether or not it was going to work, but I finally got this hydraulic hose out, and when I have a new one made, I'm gonna put this back in there and actually measure and have a 90 put on there for that bottom half, so that next time it gets damaged, it'll be replaceable and fixable. Instead of going through all this, it'll just be as simple as popping off a little 6-inch hose there, 8-inch hose, and putting a new one on. So there's the new hydraulic line on top of the old hydraulic line there. This is the part that's buried up next to the engine. and then I had them put a disconnect about halfway, and then this is the part that's down by the steering rack. So if anything gets damaged, it's more likely going to be this part. Now I don't have to tear apart the whole side of the engine in order to get to this connection right here. So if you ever have to do this repair, I recommend getting some kind of disconnect put in the middle there. That way you're just replacing this section and don't have to dig into it any further than that. Now I've got that part threaded on there. I just started it. And now underneath, when that line breaks again, because it will, I have a quick disconnect right here, and just that little 6-inch piece will be replaced instead of tearing all this apart. Here's an easy way to change the grease cartridges in one of these grease guns. Just throw it upside down in a vise, pull that bar back, lock it in place, and there's your old grease tube, and then just throw a new one in there. There's a new mini grease tube. I don't think this one has it, but some grease guns have a little release button on the top. That's to drain the air out. The spring will push the grease up and the air will come out when you push that button. Some of them also have a refill port on the other side, just in case you have a compressed air greaser. You can refill these tubes you use over and over again. This one's going to end up going with the tractor and on jobs with me. Alright, I've got it all pressure washed and cleaned up, lubed up. I'm going to check the fluids, top off the hydraulic fluid. And now that I swept the floor, I should be able to see if there's any fresh oil down there tonight when I get home from work.